Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. Today is April 6th and it is Friday, and I'm Lisbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is mostly about knitting and occasionally is about other fiber crafts or other fiber related crafts. Thank you so much for joining me. It means a lot to me that there's new subscribers coming in and people continuing to watch my episodes. It really means a lot to me. So thank you for taking some time out of your day to spend it with me to chat about unrelated things, because apparently we all love this. So let's get on with the episode, and I will start with what I am wearing. And today I am wearing one of my Rosa shirts. This is a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and you've probably heard me talk about it several times before because I have two of these shirts and I totally love this pattern, and I'm pretty sure that I've worn at least one of these shirts before, and well, I'm in love with this pattern. It's spring weather, so it is perfect for wearing cotton shirts at the moment. I think it's today they predicted it would be about 16 degrees where I live, which is, I think, like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I've had a look on the internet to find the formula to switch those, how do you call it, units to see, to make it more understandable for people overseas if they are watching. I don't know where you are from, but I thought it would be nice. Anyway, Rosa pattern in this lovely fishy pattern. I don't know who it's from. I think it may be Poppy's design, but I'm not really sure about that, so don't pin me on that. So let's jump right into what I've been up to this week. There's no finished objects, so that's that. And I will just get on with what I've been doing. Well, as you've heard me say last week, I've been mostly monogamous knitting on my blanket. Well, while I was editing the podcast and uploading and everything, I started working again on my Valdres Nistrumper. And I've made a quite decent bit of progress on it. These are the Valdres Nistrumper. I think if I fold it over this way, you can see a bit more of the lovely pattern, but it goes all the way around, and you can see I've started increasing for my calves because, you know, the top part of your lower leg is broader, wider than the ankle, and so I had to make some increases. As you can see at this lovely teapot stitch marker or progress keeper that I got from Lily Pond Yarns. The progress keeper is actually from And Mark That Stitch, which is owned by one of the ladies from Lily Pond Yarns. It marks approximately where I was last time. I must admit that it is kind of tough to put a progress keeper right in the row where you're working, so it may be a few rows below where I was last time. I don't know. Anyway, I've also popped in a regular stitch marker. It's one of the Haya light bulb shaped ones here to mark the point where I started doing increases, and from that point I've figured out like every fourth row I'm doing increases or something. I don't even know what I did. I'm not following the pattern in any way there, so not giving anything away from the pattern. I just decided to repeat this zigzag thing a bit more up the calf, and I'm pretty happy with my progress on these knee-high socks. So yeah, they are coming along just great. Well, I can notice that I feel very happy this week when I'm talking to you guys, and I think it's because I've been working out and because the weather is improving. I feel like I have so much more energy to talk about things and just be happy as well. So that feels great. So the next project that I want to talk about with you is my blanket, because although I have not been as monogamous on this blanket as I have been last week, I still made a fair bit of progress, because I probably should have put in a marker to show you where I was last week, but I think that I had 4 squares done on this top row. So 1, 2, 3, 4 until this yellow square, I think we're already there last week. And then the rest of this top row I have made this week, and I'm very happy with that. Most of this happened during last weekend. Last weekend was Easter, so I had a bit of a longer weekend, which I greatly enjoyed. I went to visit some family, and we were driving in the car on the way back when I was finishing the last 2 squares, and it was starting to get dark. And at that point, I decided I'm not going to work on the blanket anymore. And ever since that evening, I think it was Monday, so it's not that long ago actually, I haven't worked on this blanket again. Yesterday I had some other plans, so I wasn't able to go to my knit group, so no more progress on it on Thursday. Well, I will have time on Thursdays again, I'm pretty sure of that, but just not this week. It was a special day for people who had graduated from university, and my boyfriend went there to engrave his name in the wall there, and his father actually is also someone who had graduated from the same university, so he was also invited to put their name on there. And after that we had dinner together, and it was lovely. I did knit a little bit, but not on the blanket, because, well, if I go and knit at a restaurant, I'm not going to put on like this size of a blanket like in a restaurant and then subtly knit on it and hoping not. Well, I don't think it's offensive like to knit in a restaurant. I don't feel as if it should be, and at least, because I knit because I can't keep my hands still, and I will fiddle with my hands if I can't knit at a time. But I can imagine like people would think that you knitting at a restaurant might be something like telling them they are not speeding up enough in cooking or something. But, well, I don't feel like I offended anyone with what I did, and I put it away as soon as dinner was served and everything. So, well, I don't know if you guys knit in public, but I do, and yeah, I like it. Anyway, did not knit on this blanket either, so I took a smaller project, which I will tell you a little bit more later. This week I've also been knitting on the blue socks that I'm knitting for my boyfriend. They are out of some Regia yarn. I can't remember the colorway number, but I will put it on the screen so that you guys can see it if you are interested. But you can also find it in previous episodes because I've talked about it before. And these have grown quite a bit, because I think I was around here somewhere when I last talked to you about these socks. And that's because I had them with me this weekend, because I knew there was a chance that we would be driving through the dark, and working on the blanket in the dark with picking up stitches for a new square is a bit of a tedious task. And I knew I had quite a long bit of stockinette stitch to go on these socks before I had to do anything like increasing for the heel or do anything on the heel. So I thought this would be perfect, and I knit quite a bit on it. And then I put in a few more rows at the office this week, not that much. I can really notice that when I was at the office the first week that I was there, I had the office to myself, and now I'm sharing it with you guys. And yeah, when I was alone, I would knit a little bit more on my socks than I would do now, because I'm kind of scared that they would think me weird, or maybe scared that they I don't know, would tell anyone that I was knitting instead of working, but I also think that my work has changed a bit, because in the beginning, the first week, I was reading a lot, and while I'm reading, I can knit, and this week I've been typing a lot, and you can't type and knit at the same time because you need hands for both of those tasks. Anyway, enough about that. It's just a little bit of a rant, I guess, but you know, there's progress. And they will come along, but it will take a long while before my boyfriend can enjoy these socks. So, let's just jump into the next thing that I've been working on. And this is not a knitting project, but I thought I would show it to you anyway. I have it right behind me here, and these you have also seen before. And these are my hedgehogs that I've made out of clay. Well, actually, I've made one, and my boyfriend has made one. But I've changed it quite a bit. As you will be able to see, they are now white and blue instead of reddish brown. I hope you can see them this way. I totally can't see what the camera is focusing on right now. I've made this one, and my boyfriend made this one, and I think they are so much cuter right now. We went to the store on Saturday because I've been walking a lot and I needed some new shoes, because I got blisters from my previous shoes and I did not like that much, so I bought some new shoes, and we were very close to a craft store, and we went in and we bought some paint for this project. And I think we bought way too much because we both didn't have a clue of how much paint we would need in order to make these, but we decided let's just keep it at 2 colors. So we both painted them white on the first day, and then on Monday, no, it was not Monday, I think it was maybe Sunday before we left to visit family. I can't remember when, and it doesn't really matter either. But we decided to give them details in the blue, and I totally love how they turn out. This one just looks so cute and happy. If you look at the contents, smiley eyes, I'm really happy with this one. And they're also dry enough now that I can probably start using them. So as you may have been able to see from my previous projects, I usually don't wind my yarn up in a ball if I don't have to. When I was knitting on the yarn by Lily Pond Yarns, which I love, by the way, it came in a hank, or I don't know exactly how you would call it, but let me just show you. It came in this kind of shape, and this you will have to wind up somehow, because knitting from this, I've tried it, it's not going to be fun. It will be getting one tangled mess, and I don't like that. I usually wind my yarn by hand because I don't really have any equipment to do so. Occasionally I'm at an event where they do have equipment that I can use, like the wool winder and maybe a Swift, or someone willing to stand there with their arms wide for quite some time actually. But usually they're for me, I can't do that, so yeah, I wind my skeins by hand, and then this kind of shape will keep it from rolling all the way over my desk and falling down on the floor and things like that. And this is the one that I made, and I also love how the eyes turned out. They are so cute, but you know, I especially love it when they're facing each other, then they are extra cute. So I think I have to buy some yarn in a hank and make some colorwork project out of it, or rewind it into a ball anyway with some yarn that I already have, because let's face it, I don't really need to buy more yarn. I need to use my yarn instead of keeping on buying stuff. Anyway, So that's the hedgehogs out of clay, and I hope that you like to see how they turned out as well, because I'm very happy with them. And then there's one more knitting project, and you may have seen a little bit about this if you follow me on Instagram, because I've posted my swatch there. As you may remember, I think in the second episode, right about the time when my first episode went live, I bought these skeins of tuanti. Well, it says Ravelry, but it's knitting yarn basically. And I totally fell in love with it because I was born and raised in this area called Twente, and yeah, a large part of my family still lives there, so I go there quite often, and I finally decided to knit with it. In some way, it doesn't really make sense to start knitting with this thick of a yarn. I don't know what meterage or yardage this skein has, because it doesn't say so on the label, and I think there was some information on it on the website, but I can't remember. Anyway, it says that you should knit on it with needles 4.5 or 5. Apparently I'm doing this wrong because I'm knitting with 4mm, I think that's US 6 a needle with it, but I liked the swatch that I got, and this is my swatch. So as you can see, I'm a bit lazy, so I don't swatch the ribbing, because I generally believe that the size of the ribbing is going to be okay, and I don't really like swatching more than I need to, especially because if I want to soak it, I tend to have to cut the yarn at some point. I think actually I swatched it this way. Yes, this is the right side up. Not that it really matters, I guess. But it is a seed stitch pattern, and there's a cable which has the XOX thing going on here. I totally can't see from behind where the X's and the O's are, but you can probably see, so I hope that will be good enough for you. And I'm planning on like having a cardigan where there's this XOX cable just running to the side of well, the ribbing where you open a cardigan, yeah, and then just add in a bottom band, and then the rest of it will just be in this seed stitch pattern. I can tell you a little bit of how I'm going about designing this garment. I don't know if it will be a design that I will put online, but I will show you a little bit about my design process. Anyway, and let me just see where I have left my book, because I had it right here and now I've lost it. So, under my blanket. So, I just have a tiny book where I write up my patterns, and then I will try not to show you the other side, because that's a translation of what I've done with another pattern. It's not any of my designs. So I have drawn a schematic here of what the cardigan is supposed to look like, and then I measured quite a bit of my measurements in there, and some of them are circumferences, some are not. I decided how much ease I wanted, but it's a little bit of a mess, because like for the measurement around my sleeve, I already put down the size that I wanted, including ease, and at some points I didn't, but from there I just go and try to decide how many stitches I will need to make me a cardigan, and yeah, that's basically how I do this. To me, math is not intimidating at all, because I am a physics student and I work with it all the time, and for me these are very simple calculations compared to some of the other stuff that I face every day. So there is a bit of hate towards math, but I think it's slightly more complicated math. So for me, I'm very happy if I can work with stuff this easy, because my work usually requires me to have some more complicated calculations done. So I figured out how many stitches I need to cast on for the sleeve, and I've started the first sleeve. I do know why I started with the first sleeve. It was just before my boyfriend's father came to pick us up to go to the event, which I talked about a little bit earlier, and I knew that I wouldn't have a lot of time to figure out how much yarn I would need to cast on for this project, and I thought casting on a sleeve is much faster than casting on for the body. Great reason to start with sleeves, really best reason ever. Anyway, so I cast on for the sleeve, and I just like his father was here. He rang the doorbell, and then I had just finished casting on all the stitches, but I had not joined it in a round. And since this is a kind of tedious bit of the project as well, in which you really want to make sure that you don't twist the stitches, I knit like the first 4 or 5 stitches or something to make sure that they were joined in a round, and then we took off and left. So yeah. This is what I've done yesterday while we were out for dinner, and a little bit of it has been done this morning as I was setting up and kind of messing around with setting up. It's quite some work to set up for a podcast, like putting down the chairs and everything in the right position to record, making sure that the background is a bit tidy, and this is like a workspace for me, so I drop quite a lot of things on there during the week, and when I podcast, I just want them gone. So I tidy up the house a bit, and I have to drink some tea in the meantime and things like that, so it takes some time to set up. Anyway, yeah. So I'm very happy with the progress. It's not very big or exciting yet, but it is on the needles, and I'm very happy to share a bit about my first garment project that I'm knitting on this podcast. So I think that is it for today. I really liked the comment on last episode. I would really encourage you to get a bit more conversation going. Maybe if you would like it, I could try to make a Ravelry group or something. If that's something that you would like, please let me know. You can send me a message on Ravelry as well. I think we are getting very close to the end of this episode, so you will see my details right there at the end of the episode. So for now, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today, and yeah, I think that's. Oh, I wanted to thank you for the tip that I got on how to stop my yarn from bleeding. I have not tried it yet because I went to several stores this week, but I have forgotten every time to even look for the citric acid that I would need. So yeah, I probably should go and check if they carry this in any of my local stores, or maybe order it online somewhere. I don't know. We will see. Anyway, I'm not in any hurry to have it fixed, but it would be nice to fix it soon rather than later. So, thanks again for joining me, and if you like this, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel or leave a comment. So I hope to see you next week.